Hey Clashers, we have by now a lot of equipments in the game, and it can be kinda overwhelming of what equipment is actually good, what equipment should I actually upgrade. And just recently we have gotten even another addition as an equipment, and that is the Lava Loon Puppet. So how strong is this equipment, should you upgrade it, and how should you use it? Well, I think we're just going to go through every single hero one by one, always with my recommendations. Let's start with the Barbarian King, Queen, Warden, and then the Royal Champion. For each hero I have a top 3 recommendation list for equipment combinations which are based on strength and the cost of the equipment, because it's obviously way harder to max out an epic equipment compared to a common one. For the Barbarian King, for example, we have the Earthquake Boots since the latest changes on the number 1 spot, and you can combine that with any epic equipment. Both epic equipments have pros and cons. I really like to bring the Gauntlet with that Earthquake Boots right now because it's turning your king into a mega tank. If you use that ability quite early, you have a lot of hit points on your Barbarian King with overall a 55% damage reduction for 17 seconds. On top of that, you have splash damage and you have base hit point recovery on the Barbarian King. Yes, that sounds scary. This is a monster tank in your attacks. The only downside is, well, you don't have as much damage with the Barbarian King. And that is exactly what the other epic equipment is coming in, the Spiky Ball. The Spiky Ball has the big advantage of, if it's being maxed out, with the Earthquake Boots, you can pretty much one-shot every single building in the game with the combined damage of the Earthquake Boots and the Spiky Ball, which means you have a ton of damage with this combination. The downside though is not really that much tanking. So both have pros and cons, and it's up to you what fits the best for your personal strategy. The Vampire Stash, in my opinion, well, it's just dropping out. The Vamp Stash is just not as good anymore, especially on the higher town level. It's really good usable for like town of 14 and below, but town 15, town 16, it feels like it's dropping off quite a lot because the hit point recovery is not enough to keep up versus all of those high damage defenses. On the number 2 spot for me, it's just the Gauntlet and the Rage Vial. Still an incredible good combination, and it has only 1 epic, because the number 3 combination with double epic for the Barbarian King is like doing everything. It's tanking, it's damage, but it's nothing really doing. Like, it's not really doing anything that well, to be honest, because yes, you damage buildings, but they're still staying alive after, which is then not really doing anything. Like, it doesn't matter if a building is having 10 or 100% hit points if you cannot reach it, right? So this, and because it's so expensive, that's why it's on the number 3 spot for me. But this is like the more dedicated list, which is pretty simple, because by default, you should always go with Earthquake Boots with one of the epics, and you can use that for pretty much any attack strategy out there. It's really, really crazy. Otherwise, if you have already the Rage Vial and the Gauntlet upgraded, don't worry, it's still completely fine. But let's move on to the Archer Queen now. And I feel like for the Archer Queen, every single time we take a look at her, the Healer Puppet is like going up in the ranking because that equipment is just so good. Especially combined with the Magic Mirror. It is incredibly powerful and can be used with pretty much any ground strategy and as well with air strategies. But the number 2 priority is going to be Healer Puppet with the Giant Arrow, which is double common and especially for air attacks just perfect to snipe down sweepers deep down in the base to make sure that your dragons have way more flexibility of where you want to send them into, because they don't have to worry about any sweepers. A big game changer. If you don't want to snipe anything in the village though, you can really nicely go with the Healer Puppet and the Frozen Arrow, because that is still a really nice combination. If you're playing a Queen Charge, then you should go for the 3rd combination, which is the Magic Mirror or the Invisibility Vial. The Invisibility Vial here is like the weaker and more cheaper version, but the Mirror is going to be the better one, and that just combined with the Frozen Arrow gives you a lot of power in any Queen Charge strategy out there. But hey, let's take a look at the things overall. But it's pretty much just saying, like, showing you what I just said. For Air Spam, Healer Puppet, Magic Arrow, the Giant Arrow, Ground Spam, Mirror and Healer Puppet, and then Queen Charges the Mirror or Invisibility Vial combination with the Frozen Arrow. But I think let's go to the hero which everyone is waiting for, and that's the Warden. And the Warden, in my opinion, is by far the hardest hero to rank because The Lavaloon Puppet, for example, is either God tier, depending on the town level, or it's just one of the worst equipments out there. So let's just start with the number 1 spot. Even though the Eternal Tome and the Healing Tome both were nerfed, I think they're still one of the most universal combinations out there, which can work with pretty much any strategy. And whenever I'm doing those upgrades guides, I'm recommending for you to concentrate on one equipment combination, try to get it to max, and then concentrate on the next one. Always try to go to squeeze out the most power you can get, and that's pretty much the best way on approaching most of the things. And with that combination, you can cover a lot of different strategies. If you're going for a one-man army in the Warden and Warden charges, the Fireball and the Rage Gem, that's the thing for you. Especially combined with Rocket Loons or Super Witches, for example, it is an unstoppable combination which can wreck and take down any base out there. And with that, we're getting to the Lavaloon Puppet and the Eternal Tome combination, which can be really good as well. But it is actually the top 2, I think, in my opinion, maybe even number 1 equipment for the lower town level with the Lavaloon Puppet. Because all you have to do is just spam something in on air in front of that Warden with the Lavaloon Puppet, then clone the Lavaloons, and you will just take down any base out there. It is just that stupid. This equipment is literally broken on the lower tower level. But if you're talking about town level 14, it already gets weaker. Town level 15, even weaker. Town level 16, even weaker after that. There's only a few strategies where you can use that equipment on town level 16, for example. Balloons and Lava Hounds, for example, that's one of the combinations where you can use it quite nicely. For Queen Charge Ladder, for example. Some air attacks, I would say it's on a similar level as Healing Tome or Rage Gem, but it's an epic equipment. So I'm not sure if it's even worth it to upgrade the Lavaloon Puppet over the Rage Gem or the Healing Tome when it's not really giving you that much more power. But as I said, for the lower town level like 13 and below, it is just insanely stupid broken. This equipment is really in a weird balance state, I think, because it's so good on the lower town level, but so bad higher up. But this might change, and that's the really important thing. If we take a look at the upgrades of the clone spell, and if there might be an upgrade, a new level on Town Hall 17 for the clone, which is giving you overall 4 clone capacity, this could boost the power of this equipment onto the next level. Because this means that you can actually clone 2 Lavaloon troops, because that's the big downside. This is why this equipment falls off for the high town level so much, because you can only clone 1 Lavaloon troop right now on every single town level. And that is obviously not as much value on the higher town level then. It's great value on the lower town level, but it falls off just so badly. So let's see if that's going to be something which is going to happen in the future, giving us a new clone level, which would boost this equipment quite a bit. But that's pretty much it for the Warden. It's hard to rank, but yeah, this is pretty much my list more in detail. And to be honest, I did not even put the Lavaloon Puppet in here because it is just, as I said, for the high town level, it's just so weird, and it's such a weird place. But hey, let's just take a look at the Royal Champion next. For the Royal Champion, in my opinion, not that much has changed, which means for the number 1 combination and for ground attacks, especially Haste and Hot Rider Puppet is just so good. I can only recommend it to you. It is really solid. Next one though is Shield and Spear, which is another really good combination, especially for air attacks to take down certain compartments or to send the Royal Champ in alone. And that is the important thing. Sending her in alone, that's the biggest difference maker. If you have ground attacks and you can support the Royal Champion, Haste and Hot Rider Puppet. If you're going for air or a solo Royal Champion, Shield and the Spear. The big other benefit though of the Spear and the Shield is that you can upgrade this equipment combination already with Town Level 13. For the Haste Vial, you need to wait until Town Hall 16. That's obviously the big downside. Otherwise, well, that's pretty much it for the Royal Champion. Let me know what you think about all of those rankings. Let me know if you would agree or disagree somewhere. And otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys back tomorrow with the next class video. Until then, see ya and bye-bye.